Hello, welcome. It's me, Ambi. This is the moonbath hour, or maybe more than an hour, maybe more than 2. Who knows? I'm kind of winging it because I haven't done a live stream on Moonbath Chats, the YouTube channel, for quite a while. Last time we did a live stream on Moonbath Chats, we talked about Saltburn, that movie. Remember that movie? Oops. So yeah, it's gonna be the first stream of the year, and maybe we'll do more. We'll see. But a lot of things have been happening IRL in the virtual world as well. I've been wondering about what to do with this channel, you know? We've been doing a lot of movie and TV show videos, and we started off this channel years ago with me just basically recording into a mic and just chatting unfiltered without any edits, and then uploading it, and then I just started editing the live recordings and make them more consumable. But that takes more time. So I don't know, we're gonna try this out for a bit, see how that goes. But yeah, this is a sort of an experimental thing, sort of an art project where I express my thoughts on stuff. And it's sometimes difficult because I actually was stressing over this very stream for several hours today, just because I wasn't sure if I should talk about certain topics, but I feel compelled to, you know. And I interject those personal political topics into my videos. So you probably are expecting that anyways. I guess depending on how close you follow this channel or my other channels and things I do. But anyways, tonight is January 11th, 2026. It's the start of the year, and it's been a rough one. And I've been pretty sad about what's going on, particularly in the US, because I do reside in the US. I'm sure you've heard or seen the videos of what's happened in Minneapolis. I don't want to watch that video again, but I did want to share another harrowing video in a way to like inspire people viewing a bit, give them the courage, even though it's pretty hard to watch too. But basically, ICE is gonna ICE, and they, particularly Jonathan Ross, killed Renee Nicole Good, like a few days ago now, last week. And there's been plenty of recordings. I'm sure you've seen it. It's pretty clear he's a murderer, despicable human being. And it's a bit of a watershed moment, a little bit, because we've had a bunch of killings by ICE and police over the last few years, over the last few decades. But this news commenter expresses that perhaps why it's gotten more attention.
I mean, I think all this can be very personal.
With this particular incident.
Look what you did to me, Chris. I have a 6-year-old, and live TV, great. Seeing,
by the way, I've met is super cool.
Seeing the image of those stuffed animals in the glove compartment of her car, really emotional for me. And I take away from this is great. What I take away from this is, for me, that's the thing that stands out. That this was a family that could have been like mine. And there are a lot of situations, a lot of incidents that have involved ICE, have involved the government over the course of the past 13 months, in which there is resonance for other families in similar ways.
So that's the thing. It's an experience that other families have dealt with, but now it's a white woman in the center, and that's what's gotten a lot more attention. Not to diminish it, of course. It's extremely horrible, but we have to also remember that many others have died by ICE or captured this whole time as well. And maybe now it will be a breaking point, hopefully, or some change. It definitely seems like a lot of people, even like, the mayor of Minneapolis, a lot of people in government are speaking out more, are more outraged. Not the administration, of course, but they're trying to cover up. They're trying to make it seem like the vehicle was trying to run into Renee Good. Here we have an example of one GoFundMe versus the other GoFundMe. Perfect commentary about the United States. So Keith was also killed on New Year's Eve, actually, by ICE. They raised a good amount of money. And that's Renee Goods. But yeah, we don't hear too much about Keith. There's this other. Let me break up another post just to break it down a little bit more. So here, Broadway Baby 2 says that this is not an anomaly or a rare phenomenon. Keith Porter was shot and killed. Marimar Martinez was shot 5 times by ICE in Chicago. Silverio Villegas Gonzalez was shot dead in Franklin Park. More than 30 people have died in the camps. And people have gone missing from the camps, you know, they're unaccounted for. So, you know, but it's good. It's good that there's a lot of people on the streets now. This one social media site or account, Unicorn Riot, documents a lot of the protest. They've been doing it for a while. It does look like a lot more people are standing up. And so that does, you know, give me a little bit of hope and courage to see that. There's videos of people blowing their whistles, you know, communities gathering together, blowing their whistles anytime ICE comes around. But probably the most striking video is this one of this incident of a DoorDash worker running into this person's house, because the person who ordered DoorDash, because they were afraid of ICE, who took her husband from her car right as she was delivering her food. And they were threatening to come into the house. They asked for a warrant. They said they were going to get one, or so they said. Basically, they couldn't go in because you technically do need a warrant, and they were pretty much lying about getting a warrant. Let's actually zoom in a bit. And go through this video. Again, it's tough to watch. I'm probably going to put like markers in the video on the VOD, so you could skip this, maybe watch it later. But I think it's important to see the process of protecting our neighbors, protecting humans, or protecting people who are vulnerable. You know, this woman called the police, didn't know what to do. She was told to give up the woman. And then she found courage because the neighbors came by. And gave her some courage. But it's real scary stuff. What's going on right now?
There's nothing we can do.
There was a point here. She called the police. They were trying to figure out what to do, but eventually the sheriff's department said, "Oh, we're not coming out. Your only option is to give her up, you know, or get charged with harboring or something, harboring a criminal." And of course, she's not a fugitive. She's not a criminal. She did nothing wrong. She's just an immigrant, perhaps. Or at least appears to be one. She speaks Spanish, you know. And like, just watching this made me tear up so much.
I have family,
And there's a point here where they basically threaten the homeowners because they're like, you're going to get charged. So there's a moment where,
Come on.
Oh my god.
it's hard to watch even like this.
I don't know what to do. I'm Native American. This is against everything. What the fuck do I do, man?
She said it's everything against everything I stand for because she's Native American. And so at this point, it just looks miserable, like they're going to give her up. They feel like they have no choice.
I have this going on my TikTok. I have 11.
She's streaming it to her TikTok. That's giving her some more courage.
I will let everybody. What is your
And
name?
then maybe even just seeing this woman cry like this in front of them.
Ma'am.
She's speaking in Spanish,
Ma'am,
talking about her children. She doesn't want her to leave her children behind,
I don't know what to do.
I think are probably at her house, you know, all by themselves.
Do this to your own.
Just give her some time.
Just give her some fucking time, y'all. Just
And I do
shut
recommend
the fucking
watching the full
fucking
video. I'll link it in the
Are you
chat.
fucking kidding me? I'm Native American. Get the fuck off my yard. Eso es mentira. Eso es mentira. Ustedes lo separan de las familias. Digo, mis dos niñas solas. They already took her kid. I don't know what to do. I have a baby. They were literally. Where?
And the neighbors come
Where's the paper?
Show me federal
Where's the
justice.
to
paper?
him, sort of like just, they hear the commotion, right? But that gives her some more courage.
Where's the warrant?
And this is where we see the power of the community, because the police were never going to help, you know.
In my mission to be. Where's the
We have to remember that the police works for the state, they're going to back up ICE, you know, even if the governor, Tim Walz, or whoever are like, say otherwise. Moments like this,
The police should be on their way, but I don't know
And
what
why
to
don't
do.
you guys have a search warrant?
Reassure her. No, es mentira. Ustedes los separan de los babies. No. I don't know what to do. And go to work and that shit. Signs, get off my fucking property now! Now!
I want judge papers.
I want a signed paper. You don't come near my house because you're the one that has your hand on the gun the whole time.
and so I've seen
I have
other
it all on
videos
video. I have 11,000
similar
TikTokers right
to
now.
this before, where ICE agents would come to like workplaces and the coworkers would try to defend, you know, the people getting abducted. But this just shows like the community coming together to put a stop to it, because really they're just big bullies, right? And they're just gonna go to the next person. They're gonna find the next person. It also looks so fucking desperate for them too, because look how many they are. There's so many of these ICE people,
11,000
and there's more in these cars over here.
fucking TikTok.
But they get put down by this woman, her husband, and their neighbors,
Don't ever come back to my fucking house.
and they walk away.
Well, show you.
It was too much trouble for them, because really they had no
You don't know who the
real
fuck I am, remember
justification to be there and take her. They just needed to fill a quota
that?
up.
Where's your badge? You ain't got one.
Where's your papers? Where's your badge?
You guys are illegal
Why
on
are you
stolen
hiding?
land. You guys are illegal on stolen fucking land. Illegal on native
I wanna
fucking land. Get out.
And they're out. Ooh. She did a follow-up video to kind of explaining more of the situation, but they did get her to safety, and they got her a lawyer, contact with a lawyer. Not quite sure what happened to her husband. it seems to be an ongoing thing, but it's been happening to other families too. We got this other post here from Kaya that they have these kind like these warrants that are labeled from ICE, but aren't actual real warrants. So they could show you some warrants if they go up to your door, but they're not real. I mean, they're not official, so they're not signed by a judge, because it has to be by a judge for them to actually enter and search your house. So that's good. There's actually a website. Let's put that up there. If you're just so you're informed. Oh, let me actually put this stuff in the chat too. Let me actually put the link to the video in the chat. This is the video. It's on her TikTok as well, but you have to log into TikTok to see it. It's on Reddit right there. And then the follow-up video. The live replay of the chat should stay up on the VOD, hopefully. But this is the warrants. This is like, it says U.S. Department of Homeland Security warrant for arrest of alien, but this isn't. It's not going to work. Like you don't have to let anyone in if they show you this warrant. This is what an official warrant looks like from the U.S. District Court. And the judge signature would be like right here. And then, so this is the link to that. I'll put it in the chat as well. Yeah, and there's other videos going around about people fighting back. You know, ever since the ICE things, raids have increased, but that one's definitely the most. I guess maybe the most heartbreaking one, just to see that woman cry there, and then the journey of the homeowners, you know, complying and bringing her upstairs, to then finally, you know, getting the courage to get the ICE out of there. And it worked. It worked on them because they probably, you know, the combination of the neighbors of the community, you know, the whistles there, you can hear some whistles as well. The combination of that, the woman crying there, like, there's still people, you know, not all of them are as murderous and psychopathic as Jonathan Ross, luckily, but they'll follow orders and they'll use excuses, you know, just like all the Nazis who did their job, you know. But if people come together, if they're in solidarity, if they stand up against them, they don't stand a chance, you know. Let's take a look at this other post here. Let me find it just to show. Let's see, is it this one? The comparison to like Nazi Germany, for example. There was 32,000 Gestapo in Germany with 70 million population. And that's one Gestapo for every 2,200 citizens. In regards to ICE, there's only 20,000 ICE agents at the moment, who are horribly trained, by the way. You can look that up as well. Not very good training at all. I mean, it should just be abolished completely anyways. But while the population in the US is 348 million, that's one ICE agent for every 17,000 citizens. So yeah, there's more of us. Like, it's still, it's not complete, total, you know, it's not the end just yet. We still can fight back. And we are, you know. I imagine we'll see more of this in the coming weeks. There was a lot this week, and a lot of protests. Hopefully there's more. And there's plenty of ways to fight back, not just through protesting, making your voice heard, spreading these stories, you know, mutual aid with your communities. You know, there's stories of neighbors getting groceries for their neighbors because they're too scared to exit their homes. And you know, there's other activism that people do. I saw, I mean, there's this making noise. I saw somewhere else people graffitiing ICE facilities. When it comes to other violent organizations in the past, activists have committed sabotage. There was that, you know, there was that one. There was several weapon companies and drone companies that, you know, make weaponry and technology and drones for the IDF in Israel. There were some activists who destroyed drones for some companies. I imagine some activists would do similar stuff, similar sabotage to any violent organization that's terrorizing innocent people. There's a variety of ways to go about it. Not that you should do anyone in particular, but at the very least, we can make our voices heard. Yeah, there's so much I could show too. I'm wondering what else. And you know, and of course, it's not just in the US. I feel like right now, a lot of people are kind of like getting a taste of what it's like to live like in other more oppressed countries. Right now, there's a lot of protests going on in Iran, for example, against the oppressive government over there. Let's see if I can find some other things. And since this is all live, I'm just gathering all these links kind of on the fly almost. I did save some bookmarks here. But yeah, I feel down, I feel depressed, but again, seeing that people rise up and stand up does give me hope. And just show that like there's still humanity left. And there's like I said, there's more of us than they are them. Now I have too many tabs open. Okay, but yeah, we have to be careful about the propaganda too. Like, you know, not only the obvious stuff from the administration trying to blame it on left wing, you know, activists or anything that's left of them, basically, even just standard liberal ideas versus conservative. Let's see, there's this post on Mastodon. I like to use Mastodon more than the other social media just because it's more it's not corporate, it's decentralized is all. Let's see, like I said, there's all over the world there's stuff going on, but we have to be careful about the propaganda. Like, this is a good post from Young Antifa Lisa, and how these images of women burning, you know, the images of the Ayatollah with their cigarettes, because it's illegal in Iran to smoke as a woman, to let your hair out, and obviously to burn this image here of their leader. But she points out how it's kind of like it's tinged with like the white gaze pretty much. Become de facto odds for a gringolarchy, the new word, producing the white gaze. These pics scream the white gaze. In a way, almost kind of like inciting, by sharing these pictures on the internet, almost incites and prepares the US public for perhaps invasion, similar to what happened in Venezuela. And I guess it just showcases the difference between other accounts sharing different images. Like, you know, this might be more of a realistic or accurate portrayal of most protesters versus this one over here, which is a little bit more glamorized and appealing. The aesthetics are much more appealing to American audiences, and therefore they'll be willing to accept war over there to take out the leader there via American imperialism, you know, versus the people taking control of their own country, you know. Just, I'll link the post, the thread in the chat as well, because it's just very interesting. So yeah. I'm gonna talk about some other stuff. Usual, what I've been watching stuff a little later. But I just had to vent all this, get this all out, because I don't know, I just feel compelled to. And this is kind of like a little radio online show where I can just vent. and stuff. What else? Was I going to show anything else? I feel like those are like the important posts. But yeah, like going forward, doing more, if I do more of these live streams, I guess it depends on how the mood strikes. If I want to talk more about more of this like hard news stuff that's going on versus the entertainment stuff that I usually talk about. And I probably won't, I'm not like a political commentator, of course. I'm not going to talk too much about things I don't fully understand, like a lot of foreign policy situations I probably am not good at speaking about. But what's going on with ICE definitely is much closer to home. Seeing that woman cry, that it reminds me of my family members, You can't probably tell because I'm underneath this avatar, but I am Latino. And I've seen these people experiencing these kidnappings through social media, and I've identified with them more because of that. Just like that announcer said on the video before, when he saw those stuffed animals, when people are standing up now realizing the depravity of these horrors of what ICE is doing now that a white mother was killed, they start identifying with it more. It's kind of a sad part of humanity, really. You get angrier when the person being harmed is closer to you, But that's what, people of color, women, trans people have been experiencing for a long time. And the right wants to focus on white Christian identity. That's what they want. But at this point, even a lot of supporters are finally seeing the light from what I've seen last week. Anyways, we'll take a break now and we'll come back and talk about lighter subjects. Yeah, BRB.
have loved you. You could have kissed me. No one will ever know. No one. I know you are beautiful. I know you are special. You still are. Wherever you are, take my thoughts, fly away. Perhaps we'll meet someday. No one will never know. No one. I could have loved you. You could have kissed me. No one will ever know. No one. I know you are beautiful. I know you are special. You still are. Wherever you are, take my thoughts, fly away. Perhaps we'll meet someday. No one will ever know. No one. No one will ever know. No one. No one will ever know. No one. No one will ever know. Kiss you goodnight. Kiss you.
Hey, all right. Are we feeling a little better? I was nervous talking about all that, but I feel like maybe I can just get better at talking about those serious stuff the more I do it, or maybe not. Maybe it's okay that it's hard. Maybe that means that I'm human. But no, it's good to practice talking in general. Anyways, to line things up a bit, check out this video I just found right now. Hold on a second. Also, I'm gonna get better at switching windows live. Check this out.
Biden! Why tax my people? Go! Enough! Enough! Biden! Why tax my people?
They're all fools. Everyone knows they're fools. Anyone still defending them is a fool themselves. Brainwashed, perhaps, But the more people that shame them, the more people that are in solidarity, then eventually you would think people who support them would be ashamed themselves. I think we can do it. So that is the horrible news. I wanted to talk about Larian Studios a bit. So if you watch this channel, you're probably more into movies than games, but I do have a gaming channel, and I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 over there on the gaming channel. And right here, and the studio that made that game is making another game called Divinity. It's probably going to come out in like a few years, several. But they had an AMA recently, and there's a big controversy about their usage of AI. And they thought, and the CEO was like, maybe we'll use some Gen AI to speed up our gaming process, our concept art and all that. Of course, we're anti-AI over here, for the most part. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of just keep winging it. And one thing, I mean, I'm sure you know about the AI centers. Maybe you watched Eddington, that movie, which I thought was okay, and I kind of want to rewatch it to reevaluate it. But AI centers are devastating the communities they're in. Let's see if we can find a video. This is the preface to what we're talking about with Larian. I think it's a channel. It's called We Make Games. People Make Games. And there's this video that they did about boycotting Xbox.
When most of us think about cloud storage, we don't.
Because they're talking about how Microsoft uses their data centers. They sell their data centers, their usage of them, to the IDF, so the IDF can track Palestinian people, spy on them, and just use that in their genocide against them. And they have they made it's part of the BDS boycott as well.
They've asked for a boycott of the very games that they themselves work on. Now this.
It even employees asked for the boycott, as he said there. So, and the boycott somewhat worked because eventually Microsoft stopped selling their servers to the IDF. But they just switched over to Israel to Azure, perhaps even some Google servers. I think they went to Azure. Or is Azure Microsoft? They went to the Amazon one. Whichever Amazon one is. Because every big tech company has their internet servers where a bunch of websites host, this very video is on YouTube, Google owned. So everyone's complicit, but Microsoft was the most complicit, just because the amount of assistance they gave to the IDF compared to other companies. But anyway, so that's like just data centers in general and how technology interacts with the world around us, not just gaming. It's about like how these technologies fund genocide and stuff, or help genocide. That's work with evil people. And then there's this another channel that's more about AI data centers. It's called More Perfect Union. their videos go into it. This one's a new one. I haven't seen this one yet. I live 400 yards from Mark Zuckerberg massive data center. And so, you know, this is like poisoning people's waters because the amount of usage, water usage and cooling they need, these data centers. And then there's noise pollution too. That's like dangerous decibel levels for people living near data centers. You know, and then, you know, just the general environmental impact of the massive amounts of energy all these data centers need for AI. And so the big thing about Larian Studios is that the CEO, Sven, in an interview a bit ago was saying how, they're looking into using Gen AI for concept art maybe, and that will help the artists create better and stuff. And so now they've kind of walked it back a little bit. Okay, hold on. It wasn't even showing the video I was doing. I think I have to redo this. I feel like that happens too much. That happened last time. Because I was referencing this other video. Hold on. This is live. This is the video I was talking about. This is more perfect union.
The wind blowing in all of this stuff from across the construction, across the road.
This is all from.
So that's more about particularly AI data centers. But yeah, so like this is the AMA. So yeah, so you can go through this to see all the answers, like about just what the new game's going to be all about. But they did address AI, and basically the big thing is that they're no longer going to use AI for concept art. And the thing is that, like, their excuse was like, okay, well, with concept art, you know, it's just like they're not going to really use the end product. Isn't going to be Gen AI. Isn't going to be artificial. They're just going to use AI as an inspiration board, you know, instead of a Google search, you know. But I feel like that still is bad because it will seep into the creative process by influencing artists to replicate just AI slop, you know. So they're saying now, like, they're not going to do that, and that if they do, so it's a little bit contradictory because in some places he says that if we do use AI, it would only be trained with our own art assets, which is still using AI, still normalizing AI. And let's see if I can find this other post. Like, here's Bree saying, now that we know the physical impact of LLMs, large language models, in the data centers they require to run, even trained off in-house data, there's still no ethical way to use Gen AI. It doesn't save money or time. It strips your talent and agency in making creative decisions. It devalues human art and ingenuity. So that, you know, causes harm to entire towns, most of which are black and brown communities. What I was saying. So it's still an issue if they do that. Now the way they word it is like, if we do, so like maybe they'll decide they won't use it, and even people who work at Larian, different people here are chiming in, and it looks like some are saying that they're not using it, and it seems to be up to, maybe it might be up to just the individual worker, like where they use it in their workflow or not. But they're basically hard stances that the end product won't be Gen AI, but who knows what developer might still use it somewhere in their workflow, you know, depending on how they want. But it looks like it's, at least they're not being forced or encouraged to use it, with the exception of when it comes to certain things like animation, which I feel like is a little bit more tricky, like in terms of like, is that perhaps that is the most helpful out of all the uses? But then again, how are they still using those, you know, all the data centers to crunch all those numbers and data points, you know, or they're still part of the problem, even if they're just using it for animations to quicken up the pace to animate certain things based on like different characters, because there's going to be different races. There's going to be like dwarves, and there's going to be like, you know, elves and all that. Did I link? So I think I did put it in the chat, the link to this AMA, if you want to read all that. And there's other channels on YouTube who've gone over, summarized all the stuff, all the key answers and stuff. But I don't know, it looks like, to me, it looks like at least it's better. What they're doing now is that they seem to be listening to the response and adjusting, but I'm still skeptical, and I feel like they're still using it for the animation, which I'm not so sure about if that's good, and who knows where else it's going to creep in. But I guess it could be worse. There's other companies, other game studios, other in general companies that are using it way more, and it's going to become more normalized, and it's just horrible. And I feel like most everyone agrees is anti-AI, except for the tech bro CEOs, the business types who aren't the creatives or aren't the developers. Probably some coding, but another thing I saw, and I'm pulling this from my mind because there's no way I can find the exact post, but there's even coders who are against AI and stuff, and like there's like some open source projects and people working in that and in different open source coding projects or software projects who ban people who are using AI because it messes up the code, and so that's another issue people are struggling with. Different communities who are coders struggle with, having to work with software that has been poisoned by AI code, because it's not, it doesn't fix everything, and it often makes things harder or worse, and it requires, often makes it so the worker has to go in and fix what the AI messed up, so that creates more hassle, more issues, and in the long run just makes it worse. And even like, another thing I read is that like a lot of like the industry is aware that AI doesn't really help with efficiency. I'm trying to see if I can find something. It doesn't really help with efficiency, but it's a good excuse for the executives and the managers to fire people, you know? It's like, oh, like we can downsize and just say that AI is going to make it more efficient, so we don't need as many workers, you know? Even if they didn't have AI, they were going to downsize anyway, you know, because that's how they operate to, you know, to bring in more profits, more revenue. They get rid of the workers to have to pay less, because to the workers, of course, because there's less of them to pay them. So while they keep their salaries, and then they make the other workers pick up the slack. And that's just capitalism. And that's why we need democracy in the workplace. You know? Democracy everywhere. Not just against authoritarian governments or authoritarian institutions like ICE or the police, but also at work, within our communities. And that's what I call socialism, eventual communism. But that's for another video. So that's the Larian situation. That was the other kind of not so great news of the day. Yeah, there's other stuff going on. A lot of situations, but I think we'll close the news section there. I'm thinking, like, how could this show we're doing right now be structured? Is this kind of just a trial run, obviously, and the idea is maybe to just have different sections. Could be a news section, could be a fun half, like the Majority Report has like a news section, and then a fun half where you just, you know, talk whatever. But I guess we'll get into what I've been watching, because I have been watching some stuff, but not so much stuff. Section 2, the fun, entertainment, and art and culture section. We're listening to the online radio station. I linked it already at the beginning of the stream. Enter the Shadows. It's like they have a lot of dream pop and goth music. Right now it's like more of a light poppy song, kind of a slow song. Interesting. Anyway, so what have I been watching? Let's pull up my Letterbox. I like Letterbox. A simple social site where you just catalog what you've been watching, you know? I also did signed up for or made an account for Backlog, which is a gaming site where you log your games, but I'm just not as big of a gamer, even though I just talked about Larian Studios right now. I pretty much only play like a couple games a year, but I do like to watch movies. I haven't watched that many recently. It was really Halloween time where I was watching more movies. Let's bring up the Letterbox. Check it out. Okay. Well, those are my favorites. I might change these in a second, but later. But those are the last 4 watched. But you can see here on the side here, it's a list of all the stuff I watched, and I did a lot in October because in October, the scary season, spooky season, I like to cram in all the horror stuff. But then I got kind of burnt out on movies, so then I didn't watch that many movies following that. But now that the Oscars and the award season is kicking in, apparently, and I guess the Golden Globes are tonight at this very moment. They're probably over by now, but who knows? Those award shows can go forever. But I don't really have much interest in watching the Golden Globes. But this is the time, like this month and next month, it's when I try to catch up on all the big award movies. So what was I gonna do? I was gonna put up just a link in case you're interested in letterboxing. Letterboxing. That's what the letterbox is at. If you want to follow me, I don't know. So I watched Frankenstein on November 8th, and I didn't like it. I feel like I'm harsher than others when it comes to rating movies. It depends. Like sometimes the stars are just kind of like how I feel at the moment. Don't take it too seriously. And I guess I was just annoyed by Frankenstein. I feel like, okay, so Frankenstein, like Guillermo del Toro, he's fun. I like him as a person based on what I've seen him in interviews and stuff. I don't know him personally, but if I did know him personally, I'm sure I would like him a lot. But he seems like a cool guy and a cool film nerd dude. And like visually, his films are nice to look at. Although I feel like some of his films, like it's great coloring and stuff, but maybe it's like the framing or maybe the angle, the camera angles he chooses, or the framing, the close-ups. I feel like it feels very TV. Like I don't feel like he does a lot of like wide landscape shots. I feel like he's a very intimate filmmaker when it comes to framing his characters. And so I feel like it's very TV friendly, which works for a Netflix movie because this came out on Netflix. But I didn't dig the story too much, and I just thought it was kind of mediocre or less. And I just haven't really liked a lot of Guillermo del Toro's movies since Pan's Labyrinth. I think Pan's Labyrinth is perhaps a masterpiece. It's like one of my favorite films of all time. It's on my list of like favorite films of all time, you know. But ever since then, he hasn't grabbed me, you know. And then I was like, whatever. The Frankenstein monster was interesting. Jacob Elordi, the design. It was more of a tall, slender Frankenstein, not like what you would see in this older movie, of course. But there was a bit of a suspension of disbelief when like the monster like moved the ship. Like he has like super strength. It feels a little bit too superhero-y. I feel like it leaned too much into that. So it's a little bit incongruent with some of the tone of the movie, which was meant to be more grounded, I guess. I don't know, but it didn't work for me. Sorry. Wake Up Dead Man though, I thought it was a fun time. It might not be as good as Knives Out, but it's a good second best. It's definitely better than the other one. So this is like the third movie in Ryan Johnson's detective mystery series, and this was like peak murder mystery, you know, who done it, and a lot of it may be a little overcomplicated with the twists and turns, but it was still satisfying. It was a nice watch. It was also a commentary on religion, but also kind of like still like sympathetic and empathetic towards religion as well. You know, LeBlanc is kind of like the atheist, and he's of course the priest, and so they're kind of butt heads. But he kind of, the message is kind of like, you know, not being too uppity about your atheism, you know, which is, I think, good, you know, as an atheist myself, this is a good message, not to look down on people who have religion or find some solace in it. But yeah, it was a good time. A lot of this I don't always write a little blurb on there. Just depends if the mood strikes. I watched Blue Moon more recently though, and that I didn't like at all. Basically, it lets you experience the conversations with an unpleasant man who does all the yapping until Margaret Qualley talks about her sex life. And that's not really a spoiler. It's like, basically it's Ethan Hawke playing Lorenz Hart, who was like a playwright and a lyricist, I guess. He wrote songs as well. I guess he wrote the songs in the plays. And like, I'm sure that's fascinating, particularly for a lot of theater people. But it was just unpleasant to watch his character in the film being so focused on him the whole time, and even though he was presented as sort of annoying, some of the characters, like the bartender or like another writer there, I feel like they didn't really fight back against him, or or they felt like more they were much more agreeable to him, you know. It felt like it was just contrived in that way, where like it felt like false admiration towards the guy, you know. So that's why like his scenes with Andrew Scott's character, who was his partner, his writing partner, were more interesting, because there was actually a little bit of back and forth between them, you know. But most everybody else was like fawning over this guy. It just felt really weird and like overly written to, you know. It didn't seem real or authentic. And then you get Margaret Qualley's character coming in, who plays like just a generic muse type of character, you know. And he's fawning over her, even though he's a bit queer coded, and there's a bit of a you know, debate within the movie and within himself on like exactly how queer is this guy. But it pretty much not really, because his whole gaze and interest is towards her pretty much, and he's obsessed with her, even though he's like, I think he says a 47-year-old, and then she plays a 20-year-old. It doesn't seem to examine that too much, the power differential, and of course, you know, it kind of like the scene between him and her in the when she ends up doing more of the talking about her love life, and that's when he kind of just shuts up a bit. You know, that then that kind of shows more of her character, but it just, again, it's like, it just feels like a generic character for a woman to play. And it still focuses on him being kind of the sad guy, you know, oh, poor playwright who can't have his love, you know, and like, then it's like a sort of tragic story about him and stuff. So it just fell flat, of course, and I was not moved emotionally by it at all, even though the movie wanted you to be emotionally moved. So that was a bleh. This was better. Black Bag, the Steven Soderbergh's spy movie he released this year. He released 2 movies this year. He released the Ghost movie that I didn't like as much, which was interesting premise of the perspective of a ghost haunting a house. But this is like more of like pretty good spy thriller for anyone into spy movies. Particularly this one's in the UK, you know, M16. What's this? MI16, the spy James Bond stuff. Pierce Brosnan's in there. Kate Blanchett, of course, and Michael Fassbender, the two. It's, you know, it's, I mean, if you've seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's kind of like that, but the British is Mr. and Mrs. I don't think is Mr. and Mrs. Smith British. I don't think so. But it's more like an elevated version of that, a more serious, grown-up version of that, I guess. And really, it's about love. It's about monogamy, really. And so, if you're like into a good love story with, you know, about a wife and husband intertwined with the spy stuff, then it's a fun time. But I'm a little bit averse to spy movies in general because they tend to glamorize, you know, the secret state police, the secret, you know, state operatives who are just part of imperialism. And of course, it doesn't really examine that much. There's, you know, there's like this character, she kind of questions the morality of everything a bit. But of course, it's not about that. It's about the cool spy twists and turns and maneuvers they all got to do, the lies and the espionage, all that. And you know, so that's some good stuff. I was gonna maybe show a clip from it. Let's see if I can pull up a clip from it. I have to connect my special duper spy hard drive to access a secret file. If this was edited, you wouldn't see any of this. And this is actually what I do on the Patreon, by the way. On Patreon, I just babble and put up videos unedited. And then sometimes I edit those videos and they go up on the YouTube. I thought I had a link to the Patreon, but maybe I don't. It's in my description somewhere. It's also up in here somewhere. Yeah. So let's look it up. We can scrub through it, you know, as long as we don't play too much of it. It should be fair use according to Google's robots. I gotta find it though. There it is. And then I gotta connect things to things. Hold on. I wonder if that's gonna work. I'm trying to do this just right so we can see what we want to see. Not reveal too much of what's going on in the movie or on my computer. Spy movie stuff. This is a scene where, so a little bit of spoilers here, but not too much really. If you're into spy stuff, you should probably watch this movie. We should probably put subtitles on.
Go.
But there's just this line here to kind of like convince all the lovers in the world to watch this movie. The lovers of perhaps their wife or their husbands. A good date movie to watch with them.
Sure it is.
She basically wants to know how does their relationship work, you know? Because they're spies. They have to lie to each other all the time.
Someone in this business, this is how.
Well,
And so she's spying on her right now to protect her. That's the whole thing. Let me, I should probably watch the clip before I show it. Okay, well, we can just start there. So, I mean, this is fair use because I'm discussing the movie. We're talking about it and why it's of interest. And this is to perhaps someone who's in love with their spouse.
naughty husband, George.
You asked how.
So he's going to explain how the relationship works.
It works. To be with someone in this business, this is how. You each know what you know, and you know what you'll do, and you never discuss certain.
And we can't watch it super uninterrupted
things again.
because we have to do this super duper YouTube friendly.
If she's in trouble, even of her own making, I will do everything in my power to extricate her. No matter what that means.
My God, that's so hot.
That's how it works.
That's the story of this story. That's the love story behind the spy thriller. It's interesting. It's interesting. But I think Michael Fassbender is a little bit becoming typecasted in this stoic, super confident, cool character. He did like a assassin movie. Was it with Soderbergh that did it too? Oh no, I think it was Fincher. I think Fincher did a assassin movie with him. where he's like a hitman, and he has a similar affect, similar way of being. In that movie, and a lot of his characters are kind of like that. Like even like his Magneto is kind of like that cool, collected character from the X-Men movies. Like, so it's a little bit more of that, you know, which he does a good job of that. You know, Kate Blanchett is great as always, of course, but she has also that similar cool, you know, boss energy that she tends to have. So, you know, but again, like the spy thing, I feel like it maybe it's a little bit too much like the perfect standard spy movie, and not enough ascending it that makes me, you know, not be into it as much as I would otherwise. But, you know, if you're a spy nut, you'll like Black Bag. So those are the movies that I watched recently, and I do intend to watch more. In my lifetime, I do intend to watch more this coming month that is still happening, and also next month. And so here's the plan, folks. What is happening with this channel? We talked a little bit about maybe what I'm doing with this channel. I've seen a lot of channels actually on YouTube. I think it's because it's a new year. It's just natural. Everyone when the new year starts, they're like, let's do something different, you know? Let's do some resolutions. Let's, you know, so me too, you know, I gotta do something different. I mean, this channel has always been sort of like I said, like a hobby situation where I can just expand on like what I used to do, which is I used to blog and stuff. And then I have background in video editing. I have background in filmmaking in general, and some writing backgrounds as well. So I just, you know, it's fun having this on the side, having a channel where I can, you know, talk about the movies I watch and stuff, and the TV shows. And I feel like I can offer a different perspective, at least I feel like I am, to a lot of the stuff I watch. And it's also a fun way to make use of this little avatar I made, you know, and it's a way to be expressive and stuff in this cruel corporate world where at the moment I don't have much any other avenue of expression. And I guess I won't get too much into my personal life, but my general schedule is changing, and in the coming years, I don't know if I'll have as much time to do this YouTube stuff. We'll see. But I'm thinking like it might just be better to do live stuff, even though it's rougher. It's kind of within the spirit of this experiment anyways. And that way I can just record something, even though if it's nerve-wracking knowing that anyone can come in and chat with me. It's nerve-wracking that I'm going to say something stupid, or I'm not going to be able to articulate in the right way, especially in this stream early on. I feel like talking about certain subjects, like I want to be respectful and come off as not disrespecting serious things and people, situations. And then, I trying to remember to say everything versus like having a video or a script I can edit, And then just even now, like I'm forgetting what I was going to say when I started the sentence. But anyways, the point is that we're going to probably just do more live stuff. And also maybe we'll do some edits eventually, but I'm not really gonna pressure myself to do more videos. Like I was gonna do a video on Pluribus, but I don't want to anymore, you know, and the time has passed. But I did talk about it on the Patreon, so like that's another thing. The Patreon is still gonna have some extra stuff, and like, but it's only for anybody who wants to dig deep, you know, and also probably some videos and some commentary that isn't so YouTube friendly, perhaps. For example, like on the Patreon, let me put the link up. I did discuss the Halloween stuff I watched. Maybe I can bring it up actually, just so you can see. If I can find it. Everything asks you to sign in, sign in, sign in. Okay, let's see. Nope, that's the other thing. So it's just Moonbath Chats. So it's patreon.com/moonbathchats. But see, I did a whole reaction to the finale of Pluribus, and and basically all my thoughts on the Pluribus stuff. Which basically, okay, that was a little sneak peek of the more risque stuff. So this is the spooky season recap I did, and so I went over. There was a bunch of different Halloween horror movies, but some horror movies are violent. Some horror movies have, you know, some sexuality in them, and so it's not super friendly for YouTube. So then, when I'm discussing those movies, maybe it'll be better to do on the Patreon, you know. So that's where you can see that. And then, but I'm also linking videos I do in general. Like, this is the uncut version of the YouTube video, you know. So if you want more unedited version of that, it's on the Patreon. So that's kind of like the idea, that what I've been doing, and so I'll probably still do some of that. I'll likely still do some of that, but I think I'll also try to do more live streams here for everybody. That's kind of the idea, but we'll see. We'll play it by ear. The thing is that, like, I'm still figuring out like how much time I want to dedicate to this project, and like, even though I'm not intending to make much money at all from this, and if I do, it's kind of just a plus, you know. It's still you know, good to evaluate like if it's worth my time, you know. But I think, again, like, doing these live streams could be the best avenue, you know. And yeah, but what was I gonna say? Like, as for like what other stuff I would cover, is basically I would in the future, in this year, this new 2026 year, you know, these live streams could probably be a place for more news, political coverage, you know, but also just in general, just like what I've been watching, you know, could be like things that I wouldn't have made a video of anyways. And then also it could just be experimental stuff. It could just be a hangout session. I was thinking this could just be a hangout section where I just like session where I just hang out, we listen to music, and we chat, you know, and then like we can make it interactive, but also it's like it's fun to like maybe like go through a show or a movie I watched, and like as we did there with Black Bag and what I do in my other videos, but doing it live could be interesting and go more in depth into like every little scene and every little detail of a particular movie or show or video I want to talk about, you know, or is of interest to the audience. Which, you know, just an expansion of what I've already been doing anyways. And then what else was I gonna say? I don't know, I think that's kind of everything. At the end of these things, I'm always like, wait, was I gonna say something else? And then I remember the next day. So yeah, those are my stuff. I am gonna be like on the socials. I'm pretty much just on Bluesky or Mastodon. And I get in my moods where I post more. I do a lot of reposts. I like boosting of other people's stuff because that's simple. Because I used to be into the Tumblr stuff. You know, I used to have a bunch of Tumblrs, and that was all about reposting. But I also do my own post too. But I'm just not like a big social media person in general. That's why I like this video project, because it's just, I guess it comes more natural to be a little floating head yapping instead of like always posting my thoughts on social media every chance I get. Some people do it. Some people are all into it. They like write, you know, post all the time, you know, or they take pictures of themselves on Instagram or whatever. But, you know, I had my phase. I had an Instagram phase, you know, back when I was a little bit more lively and, you know, would go out and party and stuff. But like these days, I'm just more chill, you know. I'm more about bathing in that moonlight, you know, via the Screenlight. So I did update the name of this channel to Moonbath Chats by the Screenlight. Moonbath just evokes a more goth version of sunbathing, you know, and I just like soaking in the moon. I've always loved the moon, and as a non-binary fairy who is, you know, was assigned male at birth, I appreciate the moonlight because it gives me some more feminine energy. That's just all in my head, you know, and based on you know, like historical beliefs that really don't mean anything unless you want them to. And I like to make them real in my head, even though I'm like I said, I'm an atheist. But I'm kind of like a secular witchy type of person. So that's why that's the name. And then by a Screenlight is because we're watching all this and I'm recording all this bathed in Screenlight, you know. And you know, and the Screenlight is kind of like a virtual moonlight, you know. That's what that is. So then that's, you know, but it's still at Moonbath Chats, the channel. You know. So we'll see what happens this year. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be it. We gotta get out of here. I want to apologize for being awkward at the beginning of the video. I don't know if it came off as awkward. I don't know if people are gonna think I'm weird, but I don't know. I guess I'm kind of used to that. But I was trying to, I guess, just get my sadness out, you know, and talk about something important that I think is really affecting us, you know, in the US, of course, with ICE, but like, I think we're all collectively mourning, really, living in the current hell situation we live in. And sometimes I just don't know what to do, you know. I don't particularly live close to big cities, so it's like I can't always make it out to a protest or commune with the people as much as I would want. And also I'm just generally an introverted recluse, but this gives me a space, you know, to bathe in the moonlight of everyone watching, perhaps. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that's what that is. And this section is the goodbye section, where I try to figure out if I have anything else to say. And I think I don't. So check out the links in the chat, and maybe there'll be more chatting in the comments. Who knows? Maybe none of this matters because it'll be forgotten in time. But you know, it matters because I did it. Yeah, and it's out there, and the next time could be cool too. The idea is to do this once a month, maybe. That's the final thought I have. I think I forgot to mention, this is not going to be a weekly thing. Might not be a monthly thing, but I think it would make sense for this channel to follow the cycle of the moon, you know, and do a monthly live stream, and then eventually somebody will watch it, you know. And then in about, let's see, in about a year and 3/4, something's gonna change in my life, maybe, and then maybe that'll be the last stream. I'm not gonna do this forever, but I've been cooking some stuff up off stream, so we'll see where life takes us. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching and hanging out. I'll see you some other time under the moonlight. And stay spicy, stay loud, and fight back against all the oppression and that thing called capitalism. I'll see you later. Bye bye. Also, this video might get muted or something because I'm using a lot of this cool music. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Usually on YouTube, it doesn't care. It just like says that, oh, you can't monetize the video, but we're not monetizing nothing. We're living free, you know. It's just a hangout session, you know, hanging out. with the moon and some music. All right, bye.
Your savage